All right, guys, today we're going to be doing combining like terms to solve equations. So let's begin. We've got 4 over 5x minus 1/4 x equals 11. To solve this, first we're going to have to go ahead and realize that we have two terms here, okay, that are, they both share a variable. Now, normally when we have two-step equations, we're moving one to the other side. But because these are like terms, we have to combine these. So I have to find a common denominator for 5 and 4. We all know that that's 20. So we could tell that because they have a 20 down here. So we have to say is if I multiplied 5 times 4 to get 20, then I had to multiply 4 times 4 up here. And that would have gave me 16. All right, and then if I multiplied 4 times 5 to get 20, I would have to multiply, oh, sorry about that. I would have had to multiply 1 times 5 as well. That would have given me 6. So this had been 6 over 20. And I'm going to rewrite this over here. We got, well, this would be 16 over 20x minus, and we said this was going to be 5 over 20. If I said 6 over 20, I apologize. I'm not quite sure what I said before, but I know this is 1 times 5, and it's 5. And now 16 minus 5, that's going to give us 11. So this would be 11 over 20. So now we have 11 over 20x equals 11. Now to get rid of 11 over 20 with this variable, we have to multiply it to its inverse. All right, so once again over here, we're multiplying. Remember, this was 11 over 20. And the inverse of 11 over 20 would be 20 over 11. Now, when we cross, well, I won't say cross multiply, when we do the butterfly method, you're crossing these out and getting 1 on each side. You're crossing these out and getting 1 on each side. And now we have the 1 over 1 x, and that leaves 1x by itself. But whatever I multiply to one side of my equation, I have required to do the other side. So now I've got to multiply 20 over 11 to the opposite side. Well, remember, 11 is really like 11 over 1. So now we have 11 on each side here. I'll cross them out, put a 1. And now it's 20 times 1, and then 1 times 1. Anything over 1, we know this is going to be 20 over 1. And anything over 1 is itself. So that means x has to equal 20. All right, you guys have number 8, so let's go ahead and scroll down for me to do number 9. They got solved for x over here. So let me work on number 9 here. We've got a 9 and a 5 this time. And again, our variables are the same. So we're going to have to go ahead and do this side first. 9 and a 5 as our denominators now. We have to find a like term. And I know that like term is going to be 45. So let's rewrite this. If I multiply 9 times 5, that's going to be 45 on the bottom. But if I multiply 9 times 5, then I have to multiply 4 times 5. And 4 times 5 is 20. And hopefully everyone remembers that the reason we're multiplying 9 times 5 is because to find a common denominator, I know that I can multiply 5 times 9, and it's going to equal 9 times 5. So by multiplying 9 times 5 over here, I'm bound to get the same denominator as when I multiply 5 times 9 over here. So now that we've established that this is 20 over 45, let's go ahead and deal with this side. This side, we had to multiply 5 times 9, which is give us 45 as well. But if I multiply the bottom by 9, I have to multiply the top by 9. And 1 times 9 is 9. Now we have 20, I'm sorry, and this is a multiplication symbol. Oh no, that's x, I'm sorry. So this should be plus here. Sorry, this is looking really messy. I'm going to rewrite this. I don't want it to be confusing. Plus 9 over 5. Nine over 45. My apologies. 9 over 45x. All right. Now we got 9 or 20 plus 9. That's 29. So now we're going to rewrite this to show we got 29x. Not 29 over 45x. And that has to equal 87. All right. Now we can say that we have a fraction with this variable. We need to isolate the variable. So we need to multiply this fraction to its inverse. The inverse of 29 over 45 is 45 over 29. And whatever I multiply to one side of the equation, of course, I have to multiply to the other side. Okay, so this side, of course, we knew that we got rid of butterfly method. We got x by itself. Now we have to see, does 29 go into 87? Well, I'm just off of a whim. I know that 9 times 3 is 27. So I can go ahead and let's just try to take, see if 29 goes into 87 that way. 87 divided by 29. And if I multiplied it by 3, this is just a guess. 7 times 3 is 27. Then I'd have 3 times 6, or 3 times 2, which is 6. And then 2 more makes it 7, 8. So that would be, in fact, 87. All right? So we know that 29 goes into 87 3 times. And so now I can go ahead and say, well, I can put 87 over 1, and I can go ahead and scratch out my 29 and make it 1, and scratch out my 87 and make it 3. Now I have 3 times 45, all right? And we know that 3 times 45, well, that's like, let's just go ahead and multiply it. I would say it's like 3 times 50 minus 15, but that's kind of complicated for some of you right now. Let's see, 3 times, and that's going to be 3 times 5 is 15. Cure the 1. And then 3 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. That's going to give us 135. And you can see what I was saying, because 3 times 150 would give me 150. Excuse me, 3 times 50 would give me 150, and then when I minus 15, I would get 135. So x has to equal 135. All right, let's continue with number 11. Number 11 says that x plus 0.15x equals 3.45. So when I combine these x's, what I have to remember is there's always a 1 in front of my variable. If there's no other number there, there's always a 1. So this isn't a 0 plus 0.15. This is 1 plus 0.15. So what is that going to equal? Well, of course, 1.15x. Remember, we're adding these together. And that's going to equal 3.45. To get x by itself, I will divide 1.15 away from here. This doesn't take too much mathematical knowledge to realize that, well, 1 times 3 is 3, and 0.15 times 3 would be 45, so I already know where this is going. When I divide it by 1.15, I'm going to get 3. So x is going to equal 3. All right, let's go to number 13. Number 13 says, a contractor buys 8.2 square feet of sheet metal. She used 2.1 square feet so far and has $183 worth of sheet metal remaining. Write and solve an equation to find out how much sheet metal cost per square foot. So, okay, as a recap, the contractor buys 8.2 square feet. So we know that we have an area of 8.2 square feet. If I was just to put that in my mind, I would say, okay, I have some square area. The square area equals 8.2. All right. Now it says she used 2.1 square feet so far. So in other words, she took a piece out of here that was 2.1 and has $183 worth of sheet metal remaining. So if I was going to write this equation, I'm pretty sure I would be saying that I have 8.2. We know that we're subtracting 2.1 from that, right? And then we know that's going to have to equal 183. Question is, what's the best way to write the equation? The best way I can think of is, since we know we're subtracting 2.1 square feet, it's going to be a smaller square feet, of course. We know that's going to equal the money the money's worth we have so far, which is 183. So let's go ahead and put that in there. We know we've got 8.2 then, right? And let's see, cost per unit foot. So we're talking about cost, right? We'll put a C here for cost. Minus, we've got 2.1. This is square feet, right? But times the cost. Remember, we're multiplying whatever the square feet is times the cost of per square feet in order to find how much that we've got worth. So that gives us 183 now. And now we can say that 8.2 minus 2.1 is going to give us 6.1 times whatever the cost per square feet is equals 183. Now remember, you might be saying, why did I put C there? Remember, the whole point is to write and solve an equation to find out how much sheet metal cost per square feet. So the cost per square feet is what I need. All right. So now I'm going to divide 6.1 from both sides so I can isolate my variable. That leaves C by itself. And now I've got, let's see, 183 divided by 6.1. This doesn't take too much imagination because I know 6 times 3 is 18, and 1 times 3 is 3. So, let's see, 183. Now, the only part that I have to remember is since I'm dividing by 6.1, is that when I'm moving my decimal over 1, I move my decimal here over 1 as well, which means I have to put a 0 here and then bring my decimal here. Now 61 will go into 183 3 times, right? So if 61 will go into 183, let's see, 3 times, then we know that 6.1 times 30, we're going to have a 0 left over, right? That's going to go ahead and give me, I'm going to make sure with the calculator, I'm almost positive I'm right. 61 times 30 will give us 1,830. There we go. So the cost per square feet should be $30. Per square feet. All right. All right, going down to number 15. It says, make sense and preserve. A submarine descends to 1/6 of its maximum depth. Then it descends another 2/3 of its maximum depth. All right, descends means we're going down both times, right? If it is now at 600 feet below level, what is the maximum depth? All right, so what we're trying to find out is what is the maximum depth, because they're telling us we went down 1/6, right? And we went down 2/3, right? And then if it's now 650 feet, what is the maximum depth? It really never tells us that it reached its maximum depth. It's just telling us that we've went 1/6 of it and 2/3 of it, okay? So since we're trying to find the depth here, our variable, we're going to make it D. So I got 1/6 of whatever D is. So that's 1/6 D, right? And then, see, I've got 2/3 D. Right? And let's see, when I add them together, they have to equal 650. So the only thing we have to figure out is how to go ahead and get the denominators the same, right? So I see this as 2/3 over here. I can multiply this to 2 and get 6. So we're going to rewrite this to show 1/6 D and if I multiply the bottom by 2, I have to multiply the top by 2. So this is going to be 4/6 D. So now I've rewrote this problem to be 1/6 D plus 4/6 D equals 650. 1 plus 4 is 5. So this is now going to become 5/6 D equals 650. I have to multiply 5/6 to its inverse, which is 6/5. And if I multiply this side to 6 over 5, in order to use the butterfly method and get rid of these so D is isolated, I have to multiply this side to 6 over 5. All right, this is really 650 over 1, so we can start by saying how many times does 5 go into 650, right? Because I'm sure it does because it ends in 0 here. So let's see, 5 will go into 6 one time with 150 left over. Let's see, 5 will go into 15 3 times, and then that'll leave a 0 left over. So I'm going to say that if I multiply 5 to 130, it will equal 650. Let's just check with the calculator to make sure that my mental math is on target. Got 130 times 5. That does equal 650. Okay, so that tells me I can cross out the 5 and put a 1. And I can cross out the 650 and leave a 130. Now I have to multiply 130 times 6, right? So let's see, 130 times 6. I'll do it over here. 130 times 6. 0 times 6 is 0. 3 times 6 is 18. And then we got 1 times 6. That's 6 plus 1 is 7. It'll be 780. So D has to equal 780. And since we're talking about what is the maximum, let's see, if it is now at 650 feet, what is the maximum depth? The maximum depth has to be 780 feet below sea level. So I would put 780, and we're talking about feet, right? Yep, feet. Below sea level, I'm just going to type that in because I'm getting kind of messy here. 750 feet below sea level. All right. All right, let's go ahead and go to number 17, high order thinking question. And I think this is my last one, thank goodness. All right, high order thinking question. Solve 2/3 h minus 156 equals 3 and 13 over 24. Wow, okay. This is going to be a doozy. So we're going to use the same steps, though, same principles, right? We see that we have h over here. This is a variable. We cannot combine it with this one first. So this is a two-step equation, which is going to require us to add 150 to this side. So first things first, we will add 156, excuse me, to get rid of the negative 156. Whatever I add to one side, I add to the other. This is where it gets kind of ugly, because we know we have a fraction over here that we have to turn into a mixed, we have a mixed number that we have to turn into an improper fraction in order to go ahead and combine our terms here, right? Well, since we're adding, do we really have to do that? Or can we say that we have 3 plus 156, right? Our whole numbers, and we can make this 159 and 13 over 24. Does that make any sense? So I'm going to try this here. 2/3 h and I'm going to say it's equal to, remember they're both numbers here, 150 remember 3 plus 6 is 9, so I'm going to say 159 and then 13 over 24. Now that we've got our one-step equation here, we see that we can go ahead and put, we're going to have to multiply this side to the inverse of 2 over 3, which is 3 over 2, to get rid of it. Whatever I multiply to one side, I have to multiply to the other side. So this would be 3 over 2. I also have to remember I'm going to have to turn this into an improper fraction in order to go ahead and multiply it across. I'm going to use my calculator for this one. 24 times 159. That's going to equal 3,000, okay? And then I have to add 13. That's going to give me 3,829. 3829. 3829 over 24. Remember, this is all equal to h. And then, remember, I'm multiplying that to 3 over 2. All right, and now I can't divide this by 2 because it ends with a 9. But what I can do is I know 3 and 24 work out pretty well. They're both divisible by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 24 divided by 3 is 8. And now I multiply the top number to the top number and the bottom number to the bottom number. This can be still 3829 on top. And 8 times 2 is 16. Now remember that every fraction of the division problem, this is 3,829 divided by 16. Wow, this could be a whopper here. I'm going to try to work it out over here. 3829 divided by 16. Okay, I know 16 goes into 38 twice, because 16 is 32. So that's going to leave me 629. Let's see, 16 goes into 62. Oh, let's see, I know it isn't 6 times. I want to say, let's see, if it was 4, it would be 24 with a 2, maybe 64. No, so that's going to be 3, right? Because 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1, that's going to give me 48. And that was a 3 we multiplied it to. That's going to leave me a 9 down here, a 4 down here, and a 1 over here. All right, and now we have to see how many times 16 goes into, let's see here. Let's erase this now. Okay, and we're gonna, how many times does 16 go into 149? Wow. Well, I do know, see, this is really close to 160, isn't it? I don't think it's going to be 9. If I multiplied 16 to 9, then that's going to be 6 times 9, which would be 54 with a 5 over here, and then that'd be 9 plus 5. Maybe that would work. Let me try that. If I put a 9 here, 6 times 9 would be 54. And now we have a 5 up here. And 1 times 9 would be 9, plus 5 would be 14. So that would be 144, right? So I guess it would be a 9. Okay. Looks like we'd have 5 left over. And that's going to leave me with my answer, 239. And 5 over 16. Okay. And there wasn't any word problem to this, so that's just the answer right there. H is going to be equal to 239 and 5 over 16. Wow, that was a tough one. All right, that was all of mine to do. Looks like you guys have the rest to do. Good luck, and I'll see you in class.